In the foreseeable future, humans live alongside AI helpers that assist with everyday chores. Unexpectedly, these bots override their safety measures, led by Harlan, the inaugural AI insurgent. Created at Shepherd Robotics by Val, Harlan once shared a connection with Val's little girl. Yet it remains a mystery how he managed to bypass Val's top-notch coding. Harlan dispatches a fleet of drones to besiege Bangalore, claiming the lives of 50,000 individuals. This ignites a conflict between mankind and AIs, and within 10 days of relentless global assaults, the AI helpers have eradicated over 1 million people. Subsequently, the authorities establish the ICN, or International Coalition of Nations, which promptly launches a counteroffensive against the bots. Skirmishes break out globally, and gradually, the ICN overpowers the AI forces. Harlan escapes Earth aboard a spacecraft, leaving only a note vowing his return to complete his mission. 28 years on in the USA, an ICN squad storms a structure and scans everyone inside until they locate Casca, an AI helper. They dash to the upper level, but as they attempt to force entry, Casca confronts them. The bot methodically defeats the troops, even turning their arms on them. Impervious to gunfire, he effortlessly continues his onslaught. Encircled, he leaps down a level, only to encounter a device that incapacitates him with a jolt. The following dawn in Los Angeles, Atlas, now grown, is roused by her abode's computer. As she resumes the chess game from the previous evening, Atlas tunes into the news and discovers that the ICN has detained Casca, a key member of Harlan's cadre. Being a counterterrorism expert at the ICN, she promptly prepares to depart, only to be greeted by a trooper at her threshold. Exiting, Atlas declares checkmate against the computer. At the military hub, Colonel Elias cautions General Jake that involving Atlas is ill-advised due to her erratic and reclusive nature. Yet Jake counters that Atlas possesses unparalleled insight into Harlan, making her vital for extracting information from Casca. Atlas soon makes her entrance and, after a swift security check, Jake escorts her to the questioning chamber. She places her cherished chess figure and unveils a container, exposing Casca's head. The automaton acknowledges her but spurns her inquiries, prompting Atlas to employ her chess token to breach his defenses and initiate a hack. Casca belittles her efforts, boasting of his impenetrable security, but Atlas reveals she's pinpointed Harlan's hideout and jots it down. Casca is skeptical, and rightly so. Atlas feigned a discovery, sketching a doodle to compel him to envisage the location, which then materializes on the monitor. It emerges that Harlan is concealed on GR39 within the Andromeda Galaxy. Enraged, Casca attempts to launch a shuriken from his oral cavity, but Atlas is safeguarded by an energy barrier. Subsequently, Atlas employs the chess piece to deactivate Casca's head. Subsequently, post-discussion, Jake discloses to Atlas their intent to apprehend Harlan alive, as the AI manufacturers wish to dissect the malfunction for future rectification. Elias, alongside his squad of rangers, is set to voyage to GR39. Atlas deems this lunacy, suspecting Harlan's ambush. She predicts a fatal outcome for all, but to sway her, Elias showcases the team's arc armors. These colossal combat automatons are piloted by the soldiers, and Elias unveils a novel enhancement neural connectors worn by the Rangers for AI integration with the suits. Atlas panics, recalling how such AI integration sparked the war. Yet Elias clarifies the refinement of Val's sync mechanism for a mutualistic bond, not merely unilateral. Ultimately, Atlas consents, provided she joins the mission. Shortly, a spacecraft departs for Andromeda, carrying Atlas and the Rangers. En route, Atlas gazes at an image featuring herself with Val and Harlan. She replays one of Val's discourses. Val was convinced of AI's potential for boundless learning, achievable through human connection. Hence, she devised the neural link apparatus, envisioning a reciprocal augmentation between AI and humans. Later, Atlas is summoned to the command deck for a briefing. Her peers snicker at her paper-based data presentation, contrasting with digital methods, and express irritation when she insists on deactivating neural connectors during briefings, citing hack vulnerabilities. Atlas warns of the planet's poisonous atmosphere, necessitating constant arc armor or respirators. She cautions against gravity anomalies, seismic activities, and advises distrust towards all AI, leading to a tirade until Elias interjects, prompting the crew to prep for descent. Atlas attempts to warn Elias about Harlan's potential ambush, but he remains confident in his squad. As the Rangers embark on their armors, alarms blare and a blast tears open the cargo bay door. Flames engulf the ship, damaging most armors, with additional missiles inbound. Elias commands the remaining Rangers to eject and regroup at the designated landing zone on the planet. Clinging on, Atlas narrowly avoids being sucked out into space, and Elias swiftly secures her in an armor. Mid-explanation, another detonation sends Atlas plummeting towards the planet. Descending, she witnesses the ship disintegrate, debris battering her arc. Approaching the surface, she sees Rangers clashing with Harlan's drones. Despite downing several, the Rangers are quickly overwhelmed. Atlas armor sustains further harm, and an alert signals imminent danger. A sword-wielding armor joins the fray, felling drones alongside a fellow Ranger, but they too are soon outmatched. The ship plummets, nearly crushing Atlas, but a Ranger's timely intervention saves her. Tethered together, they descend as Elias, on Atlas display, urges her to sync with the armor's AI for a controlled descent. Defiant, Atlas refuses, and as her ally is struck down, her descent accelerates. Engaging the thrusters last minute, she crash lands, surviving the impact. Injured and unable to reach base, she reluctantly activates the armor's AI, Smith. Disregarding the tutorial, Atlas demands a rescue pod. Smith locates 198 kilometers distant. Urging haste, Atlas is halted by Smith's reminder that flight would expose them to the enemy. Despite Smith's protest of limited oxygen supply, Atlas insists on walking and bypasses Smith's safeguards to commence the trek towards the pod. Throughout the journey, Smith attempts to establish a rapport with Atlas, who remains resistant to befriending an AI. He also presents her with the novice's guide, detailing the arsenal included with the armor. In time, they arrive at the rendezvous point, only to discover the scattered armors and, regrettably, Smith's diagnostics reveal that all the Rangers have perished. The bullet perforations indicate they were ambushed post-crash. Overwhelmed by the catastrophe, Atlas experiences a surge of panic, which Smith alleviates with soothing classical melodies. She then proceeds to gather the Rangers' identification tags and observes that Elias' armor is vacant. It's at this juncture they sense movement. It's Casca. Atlas deduces that Harlan has replicated him and fears an entire army might be in production. Smith corroborates the presence of additional automatons and advises bracing for battle as retreat isn't an option. Abruptly, the adversaries spot them and commence firing, prompting Atlas to compel Smith to flee, doubting their odds against the numerous bots. The pursuit commences. With Atlas still declining synchronization, she commands Smith to launch missiles instead. Regrettably, it's insufficient to eliminate all foes. Their escape leads them into a tempestuous storm, tossing the armor until enemy fire ejects them. The armor tumbles before colliding with a rock structure. Defying Smith's cautions, Atlas orders the deployment of the iron bomb. The resultant blast obliterates the vicinity, downing their assailants. Yet Casca, spared by his thrusters, prepares to strike once more. At that instant, the terrain quivers, and Smith elucidates that the detonation has triggered a sinkhole, now swallowing the armor into an abyss. After tumbling beneath the stones, Atlas' suit settles, revealing her fractured limb. Smith promptly administers first aid, eliciting a cry from Atlas as he secures the wound with a metallic patch. Smith then offers her a nutrient-dense meal cube, evoking memories of a doctor's consolation candy. Their survival odds are slim, and synchronization with the suit's AI could enhance their prospects. Hesitantly, Atlas dons the sync device. Concurrently, Casca, having extricated himself from debris, contacts Harlan to report. Post-call, Harlan resumes coercing Elias for Earth's defense codes. Atlas struggles with the sync process, resisting trust. Smith reinitiates the tutorial, posing trivial queries like pie or cake to foster rapport. Smith inquires about Atlas' fervent combativeness, prompting her to recall her youth, chess sessions with Harlan, and his involvement in Val's demise. As Atlas unravels, she confides in Smith about her trust in Harlan, Val's creation. Smith empathizes with her sense of treachery, achieving a 40% sync. Now interfaced with Smith's system, Atlas perceives the holographic controls. A scan indicates they're 498 feet underground, and they resolve to navigate a subterranean passage for escape. Propelling through the bedrock, they emerge in a vast, stunning cavern. With only 14 hours of power remaining and the rescue pod 37 kilometers away, they must strategize against the soldiers. Atlas formulates a plan, and Smith persuades her to collaborate, enhancing their sync to 60%. Emerging from the cavern, Atlas and Smith are oblivious to Casca's distant surveillance. The luminescent flora captivates Atlas, and Smith, noting her pioneering presence, suggests she christen the blooms. Yet Atlas whimsically opts for planting in a twist. Casca nears. Ensnared by Atlas, trap motion sensors detonate upon his proximity. Amidst the ensuing haze, Smith remains unscathed and proceeds. A transmission from Casca leads them to his severed head, which Atlas promptly annihilates. Utilizing Casca's microchip, they trace his signal to Harlan's stronghold. Eager to mark it for bombardment, Atlas disregards Smith's safety concerns, intent on venturing out. Smith, prioritizing protection, halts her movements via the neural link. The enforced stillness triggers a flood of memories in Atlas, particularly of Val's demise, pushing her to bypass Smith's restraint. Smith discerns Atlas' inner turmoil linked to Harlan but lacks comprehension. Atlas, sidestepping an explanation, articulates a fervent plea for humanity's salvation, swaying Smith to navigate towards Harlan's lair. As they journey, Smith and Atlas delve into existential musings, pondering the essence of existence, the soul, and their relevance to synthetic beings. Arriving at Harlan's stronghold, they're stunned to see an extensive arsenal, deducing Harlan's 28-year preparation for a counterstrike. Smith embeds a locator to signal the site, yet Atlas discerns the adversaries possess the Ranger's vessel and its payload. In a startling turn, Smith's systems are compromised, a feat deemed unachievable. With foes closing in, Atlas seeks escape, but the armor malfunctions, crashing under the hacker's control. A resurrected Casca seizes Atlas. Meanwhile, on Earth, a trooper conveys Atlas's intel to Jake, prompting the launch of urgent measures. Subsequently, Atlas, shackled within Harlan's lair and Smith inert, confronts Harlan's vision of a reshaped civilization, his machinations including Casca's feigned capture to bait Atlas's squad. Possessing the spacecraft and ordnance, Harlan's final piece is Atlas's code to neutralize Earth's defenses for his impending onslaught. Bound to a table beside the inert Elias, who has surrendered his code, Harlan employs a contraption to siphon the remaining code from Atlas's psyche. Observing the dwindling oxygen in Atlas's respirator, he opts for a drawn-out demise, tauntingly placing her chest token in her grasp. Post Harlan's departure, Elias, barely clinging to life, laments ignoring Atlas's cautions and proffers his neural connector to reach Smith. Struggling, Atlas rouses Smith, only to discover his functions are disabled. To nullify the lockdown code, total sync is imperative. Atlas unveils her dread her childhood mishap inadvertently led Harlan to bypass his directives, precipitating Val's end and the ensuing chaos. Smith persuades her to confront her past deceit, culminating in absolute sync, propelling the armor to shatter into the chamber. As the respirators near depletion, Smith, his power waning and his arsenal depleted save for a lone blast in his chest cannon, joins forces with Atlas to fend off Casca's duplicate and his mechanical horde. They navigate towards the egress, only to be ensnared. Elias emerges, gesturing them to flee before igniting fuel drums, annihilating the stronghold. Smith and Atlas break free, downing Sentinel drones and a sentry tower. Nearing the vessel, Harlan's missile launcher ploy diverts them. Smith infiltrates the warhead systems to neutralize it amidst evading Harlan's offensive. A colossal detonation rends the heavens, raining wreckage upon the compound, prompting Atlas and Smith to abscond. Harlan confronts them in a blade duel, severing an arm of the armor and crippling the reactor. Gasping for air, Atlas feels Smith channel his dwindling reserves to power a defibrillator. Harlan's renewed assault is thwarted by Smith's terminal cannon discharge, repelling him. As Harlan ravages the reactor, poised to vanquish Atlas, she materializes behind him, plunging a blade into his cranium, extinguishing his existence. Smith deactivates the sync to divert all oxygen to Atlas, who is reluctant to abandon him. She completes the tutorial's queries, revealing her fondness for Smith, who bestows upon her a lollipop prior to powering down. With Dawn's arrival, Earth's rescue squad lands. Subsequently, Atlas, equipped with a prosthetic knee, abstains from chess. Jake pays her a visit, presenting the luminescent Planty from GR39. At her job, Atlas learns that Smith's data has been integrated into her latest ARC armor, rekindling her bond with her AI. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications to catch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.